Hi guys and gals, welcome to my channel. If you're new, hi, hello, my name is Kim. I go by Kimberkiss Cosmic Queen, aka Kimberkiss, here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today's going to be a little bit different of a reading slash expression of channeled information that I literally received from the star systems last night upon letting my dog out outside. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So I let him out and I was looking up at all the stars, you know, connecting, stargazing, star bathing, which I highly recommend all of you to do. And I was doing this and I was really understanding polarity and duality and how it plays its role and why we wanted to experience it here. And so it's really interesting, just the thought of separation in and of itself and how we realize that it exists yet it doesn't exist at the same time, and how so many things on this plane of perception are dualistic. They're paradoxal, right? It's a paradox. So everything's separate, yet everything is one. Paradox. There's good, there's bad, yet bad is good and good is bad. Paradox, right? Because that's kind of like, and it's not even like good or bad, it's like different vibrations of mentalities, perceptions, and intentions. And these are all labels. It's so interesting to me that we label anything when ultimately in our inner truths of truths understand just the frequency, the notion, and what it is by just sitting and feeling the energies of it. That it's like, why do we put a label? And why do we have words when we can communicate telepathically? Was that just a drawn out way of trying to dim down our light and dim our powers of telepathic connection? Was that put into place to just disempower us even that much more? So we feel like we have to relate through these words and through this language, but it's like ultimately we connect through frequency and we understand this and we can literally feel emotions, we can feel things, and it doesn't have to be even communicated because it's always a presence that's connected, intertwined, one with the earth and the universe and the cosmos, that it's like, why do we even feel the need to explain anything or understand anything when ultimately it's already understood? Another paradox. So I go into these really, I guess, outlandish ways of thinking. Outlandish, again, paradox. Because are they outlandish or are they inlandish? Are they really crazy or are they sane? You know, like the ways that we've been brought to perceive things has been so controlled, is what I'm trying to say. It's been so controlled and drawn out by people that thought they were more powerful than you. And is it even fair to be birthed onto a planet where, like, we didn't even have the decision to acquire our own knowledge as a child? It was handed to us. It was spoon-fed to us. Though at the same time, the paradox is we were more in tune than ever before because we had just come from that of which we were birthed from. And so we had this resonance in knowing, ultimately as children, what was right and what was wrong. Again, paradox. What felt like our home frequency and what felt like here. And what we know is that of here is foreign to us, because ultimately we know our soul is so much more massive than the tiny box it's put us in on this planet and the tiny box that of which our planet is. Ultimately, you know, this container that we were put in to ultimately find our way out of, explore out of, perceive beyond, rise above, ascend. And I was really thinking about, you know, all the different star systems and how certain ones are at war with one another or had been. And how we really view certain people as, I guess, evil and some as good, when ultimately in one day you can have all those personas in the blink of an eye, within a second of perceiving or picking up on a frequency. And how we label things is so far from the truth of what's actually real, that of which we don't even understand or comprehend to be real because we don't know what real is. That's the thing. We really don't know what real is. But that's a paradox because we know what we came from. Ultimately, in our inner truth of truths, we know where we came from. We know the frequency that it feels like. We know the vibration that is high. That's why like high vibrations resonate so well with us and lower frequencies don't feel so good. Because ultimately where we came from was this extension of bliss that was always so infinite that like we couldn't even begin to perceive it right now, because ultimately we already know it within our solar plexus, within our blueprint, within our truth, within our mind even, but we can't describe it because we've been so controlled since the time that we were born, and we got all these limitations placed on us in order to learn and grow and evolve beyond them. And so it's really, I'm just kind of blabbing, and I can't believe it's only been 6 minutes because I feel like I've been sitting here talking for an hour. So I hope my phone's been recording okay. Lost time, lost space, slap in the face. It's just, you know, like we acquire so much knowledge, but it's like, is it really knowledge? Or is it just a perceived account of what knowledge is to one individual? Because one person can be, you know, put up on a pedestal and deemed as a very intelligent being because they know this, that, or the other thing. But ultimately, there's a baby that was just born from direct consciousness that already knows that, but doesn't have to express it because it's the embodiment of that frequency. It's the embodiment of that knowing. It just knows. So why do we put these people up on a pedestal for studying so hard and for discovering things and knowing things when it's like ultimately that ultimate knowing is already within all of us? No one should be put up on a pedestal. I don't care if you worked goddamn hard for like 25 years of your life, or if you literally sat around eating Cheetos for like 5 years and got an award. Because it's not about that. We place so much importance on the exterior of things when ultimately all that matters is the frequency and the interior and the growth and the love and the awareness of that love. And you know, it's like we wanted to experience duality here. We wanted to feel and play and grow. But when you come from such a high dimension, like what's the point? I guess I'm trying to understand like the ET perspective of being placed here through a human vessel in a container of a planet that is survivable but barely, to see how we evolve consciousness beyond that. But it's like we are that consciousness. We are that consciousness. And they know that. So what is the point? And it's not like out of a place that's malevolent. They're very benevolent beings. There's a point here. And I think it's like they learned through us, through our trials and tribulations, because they've never had a chance to experience that. But they are us at the same time. It's like we're really having to dig in deep when it comes to differentiating and unifying. And it's all polarity. Like I could literally talk about this stuff for hours because it intrigues me to my core. And I was like, I don't know, you guys, like I was sitting outside just looking up at the stars. And I was like, why do we condemn people that are so quote unquote evil when ultimately they were raised in a completely different environment, by completely different parents, by a completely different set of rules, and their programming could have been completely different from ours, which would have set them up to act the way that they do because they know nothing else but that. Is that really their fucking fault? I mean, it's like, you got to think about it, like our subconscious thoughts, like how much they run our mind. And like, yes, we do have control over certain things and we have control over a lot of things, but there's also things that aren't brought to our awareness always. And especially when trauma is involved, it's suppressed, right? it can be suppressed. So like people that are quote unquote evil, it's like, I want to understand, I guess, why it's so perceived to be so terrible when we that are light workers experience it too, but we have this ability to transmute those things. So why aren't we helping these people that are quote unquote evil to transmute, and then also to help them to learn, and we grow from it as well. We teach them our light and they teach us their darkness. Why can't that be alchemized? Like, why is it just separated? I feel like it's a notion of duality that people of power wanted to put in place in order to cause that boundary to happen, so that way we wouldn't grow and evolve. But ultimately, it's a truth of pure source consciousness that we already know exists here, that we know we have already evolved because we have already done so. Right? So, but in this now moment, like, why can't we get to that knowing that, and trust in knowing that, like, we have the ability and the power to transmute these things, and vice versa, in a way that's alchemical, in a way to help us in the planet. And also, it made me think of something like, from so long ago, I had a friend that was like really, really overweight, okay? And she got made fun of a lot, like really bad. And, you know, we all did. I got made fun of like super bad. But I just like don't care. I mean, I used to, but I don't anymore at all. Like, I just, because I've been through it time and time again. So it's like, okay. Wasted time to me. But, yeah, she got made fun of so bad. And I just remember this one time where like all these kids like ganged up on her, and she was sitting on the swing and they were making her cry, you know, lowering her frequency. And, you know, I sat next to her and I held her hand. And while she cried, and I told her, you know, you're beautiful. Don't let them tell you that. Like, you're an amazing person. Don't listen to what they say. And I sat there and I comforted her. And it's like, you know, so many times throughout my life, I had things happen to me. And I did have sometimes like people that comforted me, but for most of them, I didn't have that. But ultimately, it's, I think, an inner knowing that I understood why it was happening. And what's interesting is that one of those girls actually did it to me later on in high school in a very abusive way, like physically abusive. And then I came to find out how her father acted, because he used to come into the bank, and just his display of affection was so cold and cut off from source that in that instant moment of me connecting the two, I understood why she was acting out those projections. It's really coming to understand why people are the way they are, even when we can't see the full picture of it, because I think ultimately we understand the full picture. And not in a way that we make assumptions of people, but in a way that we just understand that not everyone is raised with love, you know? And it's unfortunate, but it's true. How can we be that love for people? How can we be that compassion? How can we be that understanding? And how can we just show them it's gonna be okay? Because ultimately that notion is so far gone from their mind. And it's interesting because we all have different aspects of this and different levels of it. And it's just asking, I guess, love warriors and light workers, like, how can we really start to understand that much more in rising above duality, and not necessarily fixing these things, but coming to an ultimate place of understanding and empathy and compassion, to where we can at least plant the seed of that to these individuals, to help them to think and to know that there is another way. And it's a way that will feel better to them, and for the betterment of all. And yeah, duality is so weird to me. there was another thing that I was contemplating on while looking at the stars, and just know, like, I was only outside for a couple minutes, maybe even just a minute, while letting my dog out, and all this information upon looking at the stars just came rushing in. And I wanted to make a video right then and there, and I probably should have, but it was last night, and I had already done a few live streams with people, and I was really, really tired, and so I just let the information integrate, and everything happens for a reason. I'm glad I let it integrate, but I feel like I'm forgetting some of it now, but I feel like innately I know all of it, so I guess I'm just saying what needs to be heard and said right now by the collective. But if I think of anything else later on, I will add it to the video, but I know there's more. There's always more, right? Always more. I just having a little bit of trouble remembering it right now. I really want to see us all come together. Like, even if, you know, these people have hurt us or had ill will towards us, like, we need to learn how to really forgive, because, like, we've been there too. We've done things that were ill will towards people, whether intentionally or unintentionally too, but, like, we're not perfect. And I really want to see us all, like, I really want to see us all come together, because it's time. Like, we're all on the same fucking team. We really are. Like, even my enemies, like, I root for them. I root for my best friends, and I root for my enemies, because we're all, even those words in and of themselves are so silly, because ultimately in the higher dimensions, like, we're all one happy family. Like, and as much as people, this is going to trigger a lot of people, it's triggering me a little bit, but it's good. This is good. This is where the information needs to come in to be integrated and understood and consciously adapted within our minds and our perceptions and our awarenesses. How can we be that friend that holds the other's hand while they're going through the ascension from lower dimension to higher dimension? Even if it's not like a huge step, it's still something. And how can we be there more for people? Because that's what matters. How can we be there more? How can we be brighter of a light in order to attract more in? And that might seem like a scary thing for some of you. Like, it used to be for me. It used to be for me, because I know, like, the light that we all hold will draw lower frequencies to that light, but it's there for a reason. Why do you think the light shines? In order to help those lower frequencies, right? I just want it all to morph into one ball of love. New earth. I mean, I think we all want that, right? How can we just try a little bit more? Try a little bit harder, be a little bit more loving to ourselves and to others. How can we be that transition? And, you know, it's easier said than done because of so much programming and control from the get-go, and not to even make an excuse for it, but we've had a lot up against us since we were born. But it makes us so much stronger. It makes us warriors of light. It makes us warriors of unconditional love. It put us in the position for a reason. The reason, like, a lot of things happen is for a divine purpose, a divine reason. And we are that purpose. We are that reason. So just try a little bit harder when people are mean or coming from a place of ill will or manipulation or projecting, to really understand that you may not understand the full picture, but you were put here as a safety. You were put here as a place to really help them to grow and understand. And what's so beautiful about that is they teach you lessons too. It's not just you transmuting energies, it's them transmuting energies for you too. Because if you have been so built up against darkness your whole life, like, ease up on that a little bit to a place where you can come to the understanding of it and why it happened. because you may just have an assumption or what you think is an understanding, but it might not even be close to that understanding. And just, I guess, it's not a weakness. Like, people look at as kindness or vulnerability and things like that as a weakness. No, like, actually, that's what makes you the strongest. That's a superpower. It's brave. It's bravery. It's willing to almost be like Jesus, to sacrifice yourself in order to help another to get to that frequency. So I hope this is making sense, but I'm just letting it kind of channel through. And yeah, I wanted to share what I had channeled in the stars, from the stars, in the stars, and to just, I guess, help us to come to the understanding that there's so much more to the picture sometimes than what we see. Always. And there's always more to learn and to grow and to share. And how can you share your love and your light more with those who you deem unworthy to have that love and light shared with? How can you share it more? That's bravery, right? That's the warrior. And it doesn't just help that person, and it doesn't just help you, it helps everyone. Okay, so interesting. When you come to that fork in the road, how can you look to the middle path in a way that helps both sides? Come to terms with the energetics of each other. All right, so I think I'm going to close it out there. I'm really tired, and I think you guys got the gist of what I was trying to say. And if you did, leave me a comment below letting me know, did I make sense? Did I activate anything in you? Did you receive messages? What are you getting from it? Did it help to expand anything within your consciousness, or did it help you to reaffirm what you've already been feeling? I'd really love to know. If you're not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. So much magic happens here. I usually do tarot readings on my channel. I do Twin Flame and STARSEED, but it's so much more than that. It's literally videos that I film with activations from the ethers and beyond, through me to you, and through you to me, and vice versa. And it's all connected, and it's beautiful, it's magical. It's like we're literally experiencing life through one another, and how fucking amazing is that? I love you all so much, and until next time, I'll talk to you all soon. I love you so much. Bye, guys.